A great welcome to everybody. My name is Ram Balasubramanian. I am Vice President of Technology at a leading asset management firm and an Art of Living instructor. And here today on behalf of the Blessed Channel Project. It is my great honor and privilege to introduce long-standing full-time senior international faculty with the Art of Living Foundation, Joan Goodrum, who is joining us today from Northern California. Um, Now, I have to tell this about Joan. She has been meditating for over 57 years now, and she's one of the calmest, centered people that I've had the pleasure of learning from. So, welcome, Joan, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for thank you for being here with us today. We know how busy you are with teaching courses all over, and we really appreciate you fitting in the time to be with us. Um, so, Joan, I'd like to start off with this question. Um, we'd love to hear from you. What does blessing mean to you?
Blessing is like a transfer of energy. So when you put your hand on someone's head to bless them, it's like you're transferring your pure energy to them. And sometimes you do it and it's an immediate wow. And sometimes it's a slower, calmer reaction. But at some level, your energy has gone into that person. So the better your energy is, the better the result will be.
Beautiful. And Joan, you have traveled to many countries and traveled a lot, particularly in the South American countries, including during times of turmoil, climate challenges, political instability. And it must have been difficult to see these events take place in your travels. Now, can you share some stories of how the Art of Living community's positive energy and blessings kind of helped to make a difference in a person's life? And how did you stay centered in those times?
Well, for me, it's pretty easy to be centered, but not so for everybody. And um, there would be political challenges, and there would be upheavals, and there would be demonstrations. And people would feel very strongly about it, and they would go and march in parades and um, different situations that would come up. And the Latinos are, very active politically. And so I would see this, and then they would come and they would meditate, and they would feel a respite. They would quiet down, and there would not be uh, the wild energy of the demonstration or the parade that had just happened. So it was very interesting to be there in the middle of all that. And that was always happening in some countries. There was a lot of tension and
Mhm.
a lot of anti-government demonstrations, and all kinds of things went on. But uh, I felt privileged to be able to watch it as kind of an outsider.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you. And has there been a time that you can recollect where you were going through, difficulties and you asked for a blessing or seek blessings, and how did it change things for you?
Well, there are lots of times that I asked for blessings. And um, a lot of unforeseen challenges came up. And so I would just sort of close my eyes and talk for a moment to Gurudev and uh, ask him to help me through this situation. And he did, he was always there. And he always seemed to hear me and do something to make the situation tolerable. So I was very fortunate that way to be able to sort of um, talk to him by thinking,
Mm,
and he would respond.
beautiful. Joan, you are a long-time Californian and a long-time meditator as well. Um, it'd be great for our viewers to know how did you get into meditation, um, and also tell us a little bit about your art of living journey.
Well, I started meditating in 1968, and the Beatles had just started TM.
Hmm.
They had gone to India, I think in winter, and um, one of Maharishi's main teachers, Jerry Jarvis, was coming to Northern California, and he was going to teach a course in TM. So I decided, well, I'm doing this. This seemed very important. So in July of 1968, I started TM. And with TM, they're quite strict about practice. You need to meditate twice a day. That, you just do that and you don't question it, and nothing takes priority over meditation. And so I started meditating regularly that way. And so today, with Guru Dev's more casual attitude toward meditation, I find it kind of uh, almost shocking because I was raised in TM where it was absolutely necessary to meditate twice a day. But it gave me a good basis for understanding Guru Dev when he came,
Hmm.
and uh, it kept me out of trouble for many years.
Wonderful. And how did you find the sky practice, the Sudarshan Kriya breathwork practice, and the Sahaj Samadhi meditation? How did it help you in your profession and daily life?
Well, I was already a TM teacher, and I took the course from Guru Dev himself. Um, it was a group of about 40 people, perhaps, at Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. And um, I was a little negative about the breathing practice because although TM had calmed me down, I still had asthma attacks.
Mm,
And so I was a little bit worried about the breathing practices and whether I could do them without getting asthmatic. And so I kind of repressed that worry and went ahead and did the Kriya, and there was no problem whatsoever. And in fact, I think it really cured me of my asthma. Uh, but I was so into meditation that I sort of felt that that was the superior practice for quite a while. And uh, I continued doing my TM. And then after a while, I learned Sahaj, the meditation of art of living. And that was very nice. I liked it. And I just added that to my TM program. And um, I already knew how to meditate effortlessly. This is what one learns in TM. And so the whole thing was really a blessing for me because the breathing took care of my physical problem, which was having asthma every fall, almost like clockwork. I would have an asthma attack. And it hasn't happened since.
that's wonderful. Um, thank you for sharing. June, you were the first art of living teacher in the San Francisco Bay Area. Um, tell us a story that led up to that, up to you becoming the first teacher in that area. Now we know that area is buzzing with many art of living instructors, but you were the first one that started it all. How did that happen?
I was one of two people who were the first.
Ah,
My husband at the time, and he's no longer with us. He died, I don't know, 15 years ago. Um, and I taught together a lot in the beginning. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. What did you ask me?
oh, how did it all start? Like, how did you become like the instructor, first instructor of that area?
Well, so we started teaching courses and we started teaching together. And my husband had an ability to talk about things he did not understand so well with great authority. And I thought this was a perfect talent to have in this situation because neither of us understood the knowledge so well at that point. But Gurudev had made us each instructors. In fact, we had had teacher training in our living room in Oakland, where we lived at the time. And so we were the only people to be named instructors on that teacher training. And we started teaching right away. And it was, for me, it was a real exercise in trust because I doubted my mind and uh, I wasn't sure that I could do it because teaching art of living was so sort of open and teaching TM had been very kind of ritualized and it
Mhm.
was very clear what you had to say and do at every point in the course. So it was a different thing altogether. Um, but it worked out well. And we would have small courses. We'd go to a person's house who lived up in the canyon near the football stadium, and we would have somewhere between 12 and 25 people on a course. And what we would do is we would poster vigorously for a couple of weeks before the course. This was before everybody had computers and uh, easy ways to communicate. And we would have these good sized introductory courses. So it was very fun. And my husband had so much confidence that he could talk about all the points. And I taught all the practices. And um, it worked out very well.
Great. Thank you. Um, and you were also one of the first Art of Living silence course teachers, the Art of Living Part 2 course, as it's called today, outside of India. Can you share about the importance of silence in today's busy world, Joan? We want to know all about where all you had traveled to teach these advanced programs.
Well, silence is really important when you lead an active life. Um, and you have to talk to people all day and use your mental faculties and your listening faculties and just to be on this verbal level at all times. And then you go into a silence course and it's just sinking into this deep, velvety world where you don't have to say a word. And for me, it was a fabulous rest. And, I was teaching school during the day and then teaching art of living in the evenings. And so I was really overworked verbally. And um, it it was such such a rest to be on a silence course. I really loved the silence courses.
Wow. And where are all the locations that you had to travel to teach these programs?
Well, I wasn't a silence course teacher immediately, but after about a year, Gurudev made me one. And um, I taught all over California. And then he said to me something like, Joan is now in charge of Latin America. And I thought, what? I I did speak some Spanish, and I wasn't sure if I'd ever told him that, but my Spanish was not really fluent. I was very good at reading and writing Spanish. So I went to Panama and I stayed at the center at the beginning and I brushed up on my social Spanish and and then I ended up teaching in all the countries in Latin America. And what a gift that was. I just made so many friends all over the place. I went to the heights of Bolivia and to the south of Argentina and Tierra del Fuego and all kinds of places that I never really dreamt that I would ever go, and made friends in all those places. So it was really a wonderful gift that he gave me when I got to go to Latin America. And I still see those people who come and visit me sometimes. And, um, we chat online all the time. And it's a wonderful group of my friends.
Great. Well, and then what were some people's experiences that come to your mind from their sharings from those early days when you just started teaching in Spanish and especially your first few programs?
People would just be so kind of surprised at their experience and the depth of their experience. And they would talk about it and they would feel like they had gone to another place or another planet or something. I mean, they just were so um, surprised by the depth of their experience. And um, it was really interesting to hear at the end of an introductory course what would happen to people during Kriya. And I realized by listening to them how powerful Kriya was. I hadn't experienced that myself because I was sort of asthmatic and breathing was kind of a chore for me. But I would watch these people and they would be so excited about those breathing techniques. And so eventually we started having teacher training courses in Latin America.
Mm.
Uh, now it's just flooded with teachers.
And you used to teach those teachers training programs as well, I assume.
I didn't teach teacher training, but sometimes I would be there and, um, just sort of helping out on the side, but I was not doing teacher training.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Um, and June, how and when did you first meet the founder of the Art of Living, Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar? And what were your first impressions? What were your impressions about, of course, the founder himself and of the applicability of the knowledge that he shared?
Well, we went to an introductory talk that he gave. He gave two introductory talks in San Francisco, and we were living in Oakland. So it was sort of an effort to drive over the bridge and find the place and, sit there for an hour or two and then drive back on a weeknight, because it was always weeknights when
Mm,
those things were scheduled. And he was very spontaneous and he was a little bit funny and people asked lots of questions and he would answer them. And it just was, it was really interesting to be in the presence of such a spontaneous younger guru than I was accustomed to. And we decided we would take the introductory course after going to his introductory lecture. And that was interesting because he would talk and talk and talk, and then we would do some practice. And uh, they were very short courses. It was a Friday night and then all day Saturday and all day Sunday. And that was it. And
Mm,
um, about a year after that, he decided to make the courses longer. So then they became 6 day long courses.
mm,
And that was hard for people to do because everybody is so busy in their lives. And so then he reduced it to 5 or 4 days. And now it's kind of open ended, I think. But uh,
and what were your impressions on the or thoughts on the applicability of such knowledge he shared?
well, I thought that he spoke it in such a way that it was simplified. And to me, that meant that he really understood it. And so he would sort of take some huge chunk of knowledge that Maharishi had taught, because Gurudev had been with Maharishi for quite a while. And then he would just sort of summarize it all in a sentence. And to me, that was masterful because he didn't have to speak for 20 minutes to explain some point of knowledge. He would just sort of say this kind of sutra like knowledge and talk a little bit about it for a minute or two and then say it again. And those became the course points. And uh, it seemed very useful, very practical, and very helpful.
Mm, thank you. Um, June, you've seen many groups, art of living groups that have grown over the years. Um, Explain to us a little bit about satsang and community, about the music bhajans. We'd like to hear from you about that.
Well, one thing we do in satsang is we sing, and we sing bhajans, most of which are in Sanskrit. They don't have to be in Sanskrit, but most of them are. And this is sort of off-putting for some people who've never done this. But once you start doing it, and once you learn a few of the words, it becomes a practice in itself. And it's just divine. Um, to be able to be in a group that's singing together and to be singing these sacred mantras um, is is just perfectly wonderful. And the way we do it is in a call and response format. Although sometimes that breaks down and everybody starts singing with the call and with the response. And it's not very strict, but it's a beautiful practice. And it's one of the things I enjoy most in the art of living.
And June, did you attend the Art of Living's World Culture Festivals that have happened in the past? And um, how was your experience attending those, being there?
Well, it was really quite wonderful. I'm not sure how many I attended because I would just go wherever Gurudev was if he was in the United States. And it was lovely. The last one was on the East Coast of the United States, and um, I saw people I knew from all over the world, and it was very much like a homecoming.
Thank you. I think um, my next question is around you being an ardent yoga practitioner and a teacher and an advocate for yoga. I've I've had the privilege of being in some of your yoga sessions, particularly Tibetan yoga is my favorite from what you teach. Um, and as a teacher myself, I I agree that yoga is a blessing and heals in many ways. Nowadays, it's great to see many yoga studios, and obviously we also have our own Shri Shri Yoga programs. What would you say to a person who's new to yoga about its many benefits?
Well, it's just yoga is such a wonderful part of the practice. Um, I love doing yoga and I love teaching yoga. Um, and we sit meditating and we do breathing practices, and that's all fine and good, but you do need to move your body. And in very simple ways, you can do that by practicing some simple yoga. And we try to keep our yoga simple and direct. And um, it's just a joy to do. It's movement without effort. So you do what you can do. And if you can't do it perfectly, it's okay. Doesn't matter. You can learn to do it perfectly if you put a little time and attention to it. But yoga is a wonderful part of the practice.
Thank you. And Joan, we also know you're a proud grandmother. Um, tell us tell us about how these programs could actually help the whole family.
Well, we really have something for everyone. Parents and grandparents can take the healing breath workshop and um, the advanced courses. And we have courses for all ages. We have very young children's courses, and these usually happen when there's a long, not a long, but uh, an advanced course of maybe 5 or 7 days. And then along with that, there will be the possibility of children attending these Art of Living courses that are designed for specific ages. And so we have a very young children's group, and then we have a group for children who are more of school age, like first through third or fourth grade, and then older children and teenagers. And the kids really love those programs. And they're taught by very young people, not too much older than the students themselves. And they learn the art of living principles, but more in their own language and applying them to their own situations. So it's very helpful. It's very good for the children to take those courses. Uh, they can understand their parents' enthusiasm once they attend one of those children's courses.
Lovely. Um, we're almost towards the end of our discussion. But is there any other advice, Joan, that you'd like to give to people in these times?
Well, I think to have a sense of regularity to your spiritual practices is of utmost importance. There are days when you may feel that it's not possible to meditate, or there may be days when you feel like you couldn't possibly sit still to meditate. And I think the important thing is to just do it, even though you don't feel like you'd be good at it that day. Because life is full of surprises and you never know. Sometimes you can have a cataclysmic experience of some sort, and you think, oh, there's no way I could meditate now. And you close your eyes and you just go boom. You just transcend all your thoughts and um, you go deep so quickly. And the yoga can be part of that um, transcendent experience.
Well, Joe, thank you. Thank you so much for spending so much time with us here today, and for your amazing, amazing work as this wonderful long-time instructor of many, many Art of Living programs. We learned a lot, and we look forward to seeing you on courses. Thank you, Joan.
Okay, thank you.